Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Law of One Spiritual Advice Podcast. My name is Elle, and I am here to read some Law of One material today and leave my opinions and reflections on it. So today's topics will be about sort of the upcoming, graduation, or what some may refer to as Ascension. So as we move from this third to fourth density, what will the fourth density Earth be like? Or what is it that we will expect? And also how free will plays into all of that. So without further ado, let's begin. This quote is from Ra, session 17.32. And quote starts with the questioner asking, "Can you tell me why the Earth will be fourth density positive instead of fourth density negative after the cycle is complete, since it seems that there is a greater negative population?" And Ra answers, quote, "I am Ra. The Earth seems to be negative. That is due to the quiet, shall we say, horror, which is the common distortion which those good or positively oriented entities have towards the occurrences which are of your space-time present. However, those oriented and harvestable in the ways of service to others greatly outnumber those who, oriented towards service to self, has become that of harvestable quality." End of quote. Session 17.32. Okay, so before we get into the free will stuff, maybe you're not completely aware of harvest and what that means. So harvest is just another word for graduation. It's kind of a freaky word that they use, maybe just because you've seen movies that use that word in a not so fun way, but I think of it more like gardening. You know, the earth is a garden, the universe is a garden, creation is a big garden, and with that, the fruit is us, right? We grow the fruit, and as the fruit grows and is ripe and ready for the seeds in there have grown, right? The harvest comes near. So what is harvest with Earth, at least? I mean, the harvest graduation is essentially the moving from our third density, or some call third dimension, but from our third density to the fourth density. So as we move from the third to the fourth, the third density, first of all, can be described as the density of choice. The choice to serve others or to serve the self exclusively. It is a place where we come and incarnate behind the veil, which means that we incarnate into unknowing, into not knowing that we are one with everything and we are all the creator, so that we can make that choice, which is a choice of, well, do I see others as worthy in part of being served, or am I the only important one in this equation? Sort of a way of thinking of it. Okay, so when graduation happens, I don't want to talk about the physical aspects of Earth, but basically what happens if they are considering right now sort of harvest time, that would mean that when your physical body perishes from this place, you will be offered the opportunity to incarnate into the fourth density, provided that you are sort of ready for it. If you have learned the lessons that you were here to learn when you pass on, then you'll have sort of a three-way split between the population of Earth. So assuming you're listening to this, I would hope that you're kind of on the service to others path. I wish to help you with that. So three-way split, right? So you would essentially have the choice, if you're on a service to others path, would be more just a two-way thing, which is sort of you either get to have the choice to serve others, or you've probably made a not so great choice where you choose one side, the service to others and service to self, and back and forth, and then you've sort of fallen into the sinkhole of indifference. So the population is split in three ways: those who are harvested in the positive sense, service to others; those who are harvested in the negative sense, which is the service to self path; and then there's everybody in the middle who repeats. We call the sinkhole of indifference. No big deal. It sounds bad, but it sucks to go through grade 3 and not graduate and have to repeat it again. But that is the nature of readiness and free will. If you have the free will and are ready to move on, then great. And if not, well, you have the opportunity to repeat. No pressure. Okay. So there is your sort of harvest. I would like to go into the free will thing. So remember earlier, a second ago, I just mentioned about the darkness, right? This third density is one of darkness, is one of unknowing, one where we come behind the veil. We do not know that we're one with everything. We do not know that we are all the creator, which is funny because what happens is that is the reason, like that is what gives us free will, that unknowing, that ignorance, right? The ignorance is what gives us the free will to make a choice. However, that same ignorance is what allows us also to, abridge or violate the free will of others. Because if we really knew that we were the creator and we were, everybody was the creator and we're all just each other, sort of, you wouldn't want to manipulate other people for your benefit. There would be no enslavement of other people because it would just be ridiculous. You'd be enslaving yourself. You literally need that illusion of separation in order to enslave other people is sort of the idea here. So with that, I just wanted to explain with a quote from Ra as to the nature of our density being darkness. And so I'll just read that now. So session 21.9, Ra says, the incarnation pattern of the beginning third density mind-body-spirit complex begins in darkness. For you may think or consider of your density as one of, as you may say, a sleep and a forgetting. This is the only plane of forgetting. It is necessary for the third density entity to forget so that the mechanisms of confusion or free will may operate upon the newly individuated consciousness complex. So, end of quote, right? So within that, we plunge into the darkness so that we may make those decisions. Do we want to violate the free will of others for our own benefit, or do we want to maybe go along the more harmonious path, which is my opinion, the truthful path, which is that you're respecting others as a unified being with you, which means that you are doing your best to avoid violating their free will, because you understand that everybody has their own time and place for awakening, and that is up to them, and you can offer catalyst to them as you will, but it's not up to you to basically force somebody to awaken or force somebody to do really anything, which I wanted to go a little further into with one third quote, which just sort of shows you the idea that when we are plunged into this darkness and this third density, everybody is all about violating each other's free will. To what degree this is, I mean, you have to listen to this quote and make your own assessment. I can see it around in my everyday life, especially nowadays, the last few years, if you will. You can see the control mechanisms coming in, and whether you may consider it unintentional slavery or intentional slavery, for the majority of the normal people, like not the elite who are trying to manipulate us. Most people are just trying to do best. They're just trying to do good, and they are well-intentioned. But unfortunately, you can have well-intentioned slavery. So let me read that section. So this is from session 83.12, so 8312. The questioner asks, then you say that there are no cases where those who are service to others oriented are using in any way techniques of enslavement that have grown as a result of the evolution of our social structures. Is that what you mean? Ra answers, quote, Ra, I am Ra. It was our understanding that your query concerned conditions before the veiling. There was no unconscious slavery, as you call this condition, at that period. At the present space-time, the condition of well-meant and unintentional slavery are so numerous that it beggars our ability to enumerate them. End of quote. Right, so we're in third density. From Ra's perspective, it just sounds like we are just stomping all over each other's free will everywhere. So I remember hearing, you would think that means that you're probably like running around creating karma, which very well may be true. But I do know that I recall a quote, from the same type of channeling material. And they said something along the lines of, well, you may sometimes violate others' free will, but it's also your ignorance of the situation which sort of alleviates you a little bit from the karma of the situation. meaning that you hadn't consciously manipulated the other person necessarily, and therefore, intentions mean something. So if your intention is to serve another, you will probably maybe try a little too hard and maybe push the lines of free will, and that's definitely a lesson that anybody is on the sort of spiritual path will learn, especially at the very beginning. I definitely was a victim, or what do you call it? I definitely was one doing this. So when you wake up, you want to but you learn all this new stuff and all this new material. You want to go out and share it with all the people that you think should know, because this is so helpful for you. And then you go out trying to explain things to people, and you just get kicked back, and you push too hard, and it only just creates more issues, et cetera, et cetera. So you just like with serving, you want to drop the seed and not have expectation as to the outcome. So you're definitely hoping for an outcome in a way, right? You're hoping for a positive outcome, otherwise why would you do it? But you don't necessarily push the seed. You can't force the seed to grow. You can't force it to take upon the water and the sun and the soil. That's the part of the receiver to do that. So you just want to kind of keep that in mind when it comes to free will, and even though we're in the darkness and we don't completely know all the free will aspects of everything, it is the first distortion of the law of one, free will. So you better believe that it is pretty dang important. So I do my best everywhere to explain, hey, this is my opinion, I don't know for sure. Something like this is going to sort of help respect free will. Not forcing people into seeing things your way, right? You can share an idea with them, but you cannot force them to do it. What is the quote? You can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. So it's just, right, you want to try to force that horse to drink, well, you're abridging their free will. And I admit that it's hard to let that go and let people decide for themselves. And you may be even hard on yourself in the fact that you sometimes are thinking, you have this savior complex that I want to help this person. I see them suffering so bad, right? Why won't they just listen? Or I want to do this, I want to do this. But to this certain degree of assisting someone is, first distortion, free will. You have to respect their free will to be a butthead if that's what they want to do. And, have trust and faith that maybe this is the part of their path that's needed for them right now. And that trust that they will wake up in their own time. Creator, all paths lead to the one, just some are faster than others, some are slower than others. Okay, so then I just want to highlight lastly, before I end here, the unintentional slavery. Oh man, I mean, I don't want to go into specifics because I know it's kind of triggering to some people, and you're here to listen to the Law of One material, so you may consider more things going on right now in the news and our culture to be somewhat transient, short-lived. Ross says that we do not concern ourselves with the conditions of harvest. They are what they are. We're more concerned with just the ideas of spiritual evolution. So, even with all this unintentional slavery going on right now, I guess it is important to recognize that and do your best to not be a part of it, to, do your part, use your free will to say, hey, I'm going to respect the free will of others. Thank you very much. I don't want to be a part of this group think of free will violation of other people. I feel that is sort of our duty, but at the same time, obviously keeping more important in your head is the love of the moment, the love of others, the love for yourself. It sort of needs to be forefront in your mind. We live on both of these levels at the same time, but it's just good to put the focus on which is important, which is that we're here to learn lessons of love, concern ourselves with those lessons of love. Those lessons of love do include the physical and our culture that we live in, so we shouldn't ignore them. However, we don't want to put too much focus on the negative free will enslavement of everybody, because that's just sort of like, I'm not sure if you're aware of this term, but a black pill. A black pill is essentially a pessimistic view. After you get the red pill of awakening, we prefer, you take a little bit of the black pill to understand the shadow side of things, but then you move on to the white pill, which is sort of the optimistic look, and that, hey, we're here, at least all these negative things are happening. There are people that are waking up, right? So the harder the negatives push, the more that it encourages people in the positive side to be like, hey, I can no longer just stand around neutrally. I need to stand up. I'm going to seek positivity. I do not want to be part of this negativity. I used to just go along, be neutral for everything, but I can't do that anymore because I see that that's not working. So with that, right, that's kind of back to the original quote here is, well, everything seems very negative. The population seems to be very negative. How is it that we are going to be graduating into a fourth density positive Earth? It's that the negative elite of this planet, there's few of them, and yet they control the media and the news and most things that you see. So they're very much concerned with showing you all of that, having that be in the forefront of your mind. I'm not saying that a lot of that stuff isn't true, but at the community level, between person to person, community to community, heart to heart, there's a lot of great things going on. Everybody is mostly positive, attempting to do their best, even if it's well-intentioned slavery. Well, their intentions are somewhat in a good place, so that's worth noting, that's worth respecting, seeing things as intention-based, and just hoping that on the sort of physical, realistic viewpoint that people come around to understanding that free will is something that should always be respected, because when it's not respected, you'll find the kickback and the mechanisms of karma, etc., all work to fix themselves and bring things back into harmony. So it's whether we want to do things the easy way or the hard way. And funny enough, it may seem easy to just abridge people's free will to get what you want, but that's, in my opinion, the hard way, because that just creates a lot more issues. It's technically maybe harder to respect people's free will, have the patience to let people learn at their own pace, but in essence, that will be the easier route because it is the most successful route. Give people time to come to their own understandings when they're ready, and the truth will sink into their being a lot better versus if it was forced into their understanding by somebody else. Okay, guys, so I think that is enough. Thank you so much for listening. You can visit my website, theoneinfinitecreator.com, where I have all this information. You can download it for free, and there's links to LL Research Group where they give this to us for free. And if you'd like to share, subscribe to the channel, amazing, appreciate it. I have been reading your guys' comments. I haven't got the chance to respond to all of them, but they very much actually keep me motivated to do this. Sometimes, like, I'm kind of doing this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and some days I wake up and I go, I don't know if I have it in me today. But after I read a few of the comments about how, your guys are explaining that this is helpful to you, it really encourages me to just keep going, right? To serve one is to serve all. So thanks, guys. I hope you have a lovely weekend. Love you.